The auction block on Xylos was not a place of dignity. It was a circular, stark white platform under the harsh, purple light of a dying star, surrounded by a murmuring, chittering, and sometimes slurping crowd of the galaxy's most affluent and indifferent beings. The air smelled of ozone, expensive perfume, and the faint, metallic tang of fear. Kalen stood at the edge of the crowd, his human frame feeling both too tall and utterly insignificant. His coveralls were stained with engine grease and the sweat of a dozen different docks. He wasn't here to buy, he was here to fulfill a promise. In his pocket, his calloused fingers worried a small, smooth stone, a gift from a dying friend. His friend, a gentle, six-armed mechanic named Rylan, had gasped his final words into Kalen's ear. "My sisters, the glistening tide orphanage, they will be sold. Keep them together, Kalen. Promise me. They are all each other has." And now, Kalen was here, watching his life savings, a meager stack of credits earned from fixing hyperdrives and patching hulls, seemed to shrink into nothingness with every lot that passed. The auctioneer, a floating orb of synthetic flesh named Zoltan, announced the next item. Lot 47, a matched set. 2 juvenile Xylathians, female. Designations, Alara and Lyra. The platform illuminated 2 small figures. They were no taller than Kalen's waist, with skin the color of moonlight and large, luminous silver eyes that held galaxies of fear. Their delicate, fin-like ears were pressed flat against their heads. The taller one, Alara, held the smaller, Lyra, tightly against her side, a protective arm around her trembling shoulders. They were breathtakingly beautiful, and in this place, that was a curse. Kalen's heart clenched. Rylan's sisters. The bidding started low, a few lazy offers from collectors looking for exotic pets. Kalen waited, his throat dry. He raised his hand. 50,000 credits. It was half his savings. The bid was acknowledged with a nod from Zoltan. A new voice cut through the murmur, a sound like grinding stones. 100,000. All eyes turned to Lord Forlag. He was a hulking, chitinous creature from a high-gravity world, known for his vast mineral wealth and his even vaster cruelty. His compound eyes, multifaceted and black, reflected the 2 small girls on the platform without a flicker of emotion. Rumor said he collected sentient beings the way others collected art, and that his exhibits rarely lasted long. Kalen's blood ran cold. 110, he called out, his voice tighter now. Forlag didn't even glance his way. 200,000. The crowd buzzed. This was becoming interesting. A human, clearly out of his depth, challenging a magnate like Forlag. Kalen felt the edges of the stone in his pocket dig into his palm. He thought of Rylan, of their friendship forged in the grimy bowels of a freighter. He thought of the trust in his friend's dying eyes. 210, he said, the number feeling like ash in his mouth. It was everything he had. A low, grinding chuckle emanated from Forlag. 300,000. Do continue, little human. Your distress is palpable. Kalen's shoulders slumped. He was beaten. The numbers were abstract, but the reality was a chasm he could not cross. He saw Alara look up, her silver eyes scanning the crowd until they found his. They weren't pleading. They were resigned. It was a look that said she had expected this all along. Lyra buried her face in her sister's tunic. He had failed. Zoltan's voice was smooth, final. Going once, going twice. My ship. Kalen blurted out, the words tearing from him. The Stardancer. She's a G-class long hauler. Fully equipped, recently refitted. She's worth at least another 200,000. A hush fell over the crowd. Pledging a starship was not done. It was the ultimate act of desperation for a spacer, the loss of not just a vehicle, but a home, a livelihood, an identity. Zoltan paused, his orb form pulsating as he accessed data streams. The Stardancer is registered. Appraisal confirms the value. The human's bid stands at 410,000 credits. Forlag shifted his bulk, the sound a grating of armor plates. He was no longer amused. This was now an insult. 500,000, he boomed, the price now soaring into the realm of the absurd. Kalen's mind raced. He had nothing left. Nothing but the clothes on his back and the stone in his pocket. He was a man standing at the edge of an abyss, with only a promise to keep him from falling. He thought of the two girls, of being torn apart, of one going to a life of servitude and the other to a short, terrifying existence in Forlag's collection. He stepped forward, into the clear space before the platform, drawing all eyes to him. He looked not at Zoltan, but directly at Forlag. "I have nothing else," Kalen said, his voice low but carrying in the sudden silence. "No more credits. No more property. But I offer you this." He held up the smooth, gray stone. "On my world, this is a wishing stone. It is said that if you hold it and make a promise with your whole heart, the universe will bend to see it fulfilled." He took a deep breath. "I offer you my future labor. I am a master engineer. I will enter into a lifetime contract of indenture to you, Lord Forlag. My skills, my life, in exchange for their freedom. My bid is everything I am, and everything I ever will be." The silence was absolute. Even Zoltan seemed stunned. A lifetime indenture was a fate many considered worse than death, a total surrender of autonomy, a living death sentence. Forlag stared at the human, his multifaceted eyes unreadable. The human was not just desperate, he was irrational. He was offering his entire existence for two insignificant life forms. It was a level of sentimental folly Forlag could not comprehend. For him, it stripped the transaction of all pleasure. There was no victory in crushing an organism that was already self-destructing. The human struggle was not a challenge, it was a pathology. He let out a sound of pure disgust. "Your life? It is a pittance. A noisy, messy, emotional pittance. It is worthless to me." He waved a clawed limb in dismissal. "They are tainted by your sentiment. The acquisition is spoiled. They are yours, human. A fitting punishment for your foolishness." With that, Lord Forlag turned and lumbered away, his retinue scrambling behind him. Kalen stood frozen, his hand still outstretched, clutching the stone. The world seemed to swim around him. Zoltan, recovering his professional composure, tapped the platform with a beam of light. "The lot is sold to the human bidder. 410,000 credits and 1 starship." The transaction was a blur. Kalen numbly signed the digital parchments that transferred the title of the Stardancer and emptied his credit account. He was now a man with nothing, standing in the middle of a busy auction house. Then, 2 small presences appeared at his side. He looked down. Elara and Lyra were there, looking up at him with those vast, silver eyes. The fear was gone, replaced by a wary, profound confusion. "You are the friend of Relic?" Elara asked, her voice a soft chime. Kalen nodded, his throat too tight for words. He knelt, bringing himself to their level. "He spoke of you," Lyra whispered, peeking out from behind her sister. "He said you were good. That your heart was strong." Kalen let out a shaky breath that was half a sob. He opened his hand, showing them the stone. "I made him a promise." Elara reached out one slender, 3-fingered hand and gently touched the stone. "This is a heavy promise." "It is," Kalen agreed, his voice rough. "But it was the right one." He stood up, a penniless man on an alien world with 2 children who were now his responsibility. He had no ship, no money, no plan. The future was a terrifying blank slate. But as he looked at them, at the way Lyra's small hand now crept into his, and the way Elara stood a little taller, a little less afraid, he felt a strange sensation bloom in his chest. It wasn't the weight of a burden, but the anchor of a purpose. He was struggling. He had lost everything he owned. But he had won everything that mattered. He had kept his promise. "Come on," he said softly, his voice finding a strength he didn't know he possessed. "Let's go home." He didn't know where that was, or how they would get there. But as the 3 of them, the struggling human and his 2 little alien sisters, walked out of the harsh purple light of the auction house and into the bustling, starlit streets of Xylos, Kalen knew one thing for certain. They would figure it out. Together.